Great. From that, we move on to the next section, which is the current affairs, right here, right now, and wherein we talk about HR as an industry, as a specialization per se. Now, how do you think HR has evolved as a function, evolved in the few years that you've been a part of, and from the last few years?
I think you all, HR. So the evolution of HR has happened quite a lot. I have just completed 22 years now in my professional career. When we were in our B schools, the focus was on compliance and regulation. In fact, let me change the question and ask you this: that what is my current priority vis-a-vis what was my priority 20 years back? If you have done this interview 3 years back and asked an HR head to say, tell me what are your 3 biggest challenges, in 9 out of 10 would have said, my biggest challenge is how do I deal with my union, how do I do with my labor, how do I stop strikes, how do I make sure there is a smooth flow of production. And today if you ask this question, 9 out of 10 would say my biggest challenge is talent. How do I get talent? So I think it's so the biggest change that HR has gone through, and I like explaining that from an economic principle, from the primary principle of economics, is 20 years back when we started human resource management, we were solving supply side problem, which is there are lot of labor available, availability is not the problem, you know how to manage them and you tweak things to manage them because you had enough supply, you just have to manage in the most optimum way the supply side. Today I am managing the demand side of economics. You don't have people who can do your job, so you are creating. I think I am sitting in a place where you guys want to do things on skilling, right? Because inherently you know, I'm sure that there is a demand gap. Absolutely. There is no dearth of job. What is the dearth is demand. You don't have enough people, and hence we are spending more time there, from the originating side rather than to the tail end side, and that is where HR has said. To put it in other words, I think HR has become an important partner with the business, and the point that I said, we are now required to think one step ahead of the business because we are dealing with the most vulnerable part of the business pieces. To somebody who are really supporting and being reactive to what business said. Right. I think that's the shift that we have gone through.
True. So because of the industry changing and everything, HR is always adapting and evolving as per that. Interesting. Now your LinkedIn also says that you continuously make efforts towards making HR as a business partner in core business functions. How much of a role would HR really play into that aspect?
Oh, tremendous. Oh, tremendous. I think let's look at a balance sheet. If you look at any balance sheet of a company, you would find, so let's take the kind of industries I have worked, which is FMCG, manufacturing and everything. Your 80% cost in a balance sheet probably would come in your manufacturing or procurement of goods, or COGS as we say. Now you are buying product from outside, so you do not have any control on that because external prices often you may not have muscle to control. Out of the remaining 20%, 5 to 10% of cost, more so in companies like the FMCGs that we operate, 5 to 10% of your cost is on manpower, which is clearly in the hand of the organization to work upon. One of the reasons why today HR is playing a big role in organizational effectiveness is making sure how that 10% cost or 5% or 7% can be rejigged, because that's entirely in your control as a business partner, by making sure there are right people for the right role. People are adequately trained and they are delivering exactly what the business wants, and they are ready to deliver the next level business when it comes. Because that is one major component in the hand of the chairman, MD, board, where they really have full control. Everything else, there is a vulnerable factor. It's not really fully in your hand. You can influence some. For example, in our context, we are in personal care segment. We buy lot of petroleum product. But our main raw material and our 70% of our money goes in buying that raw material. But in the world of petrochemicals, we are a very small player. I cannot dictate prices. The max I can do is I can hedge a bit, I can forward trade a bit, and can play around a bit. Can I dictate price of petroleum prices across the globe? Given the size I am, probably not. Some can, some industry can, but we cannot. How do you do that? Then what you exactly do is, then you go into other areas of your balance sheet and say, where else can I play with? And then look at IT firms. In IT firms, 70% of your cost is manpower cost. Do you need to tell then why HR needs to business partner? Because that CHRO is managing 70% of the company's cost. So if you don't partner, who else would?
Partner. Interesting. So I think it's vital for HR to act as a business partner and not just pure play as an HR function per se. Great. So what are the top 3 current challenges the HR industry faces in these times? Of course, tuna is of course one.
Tuna is one, but if you really talk about the top 3 challenges, I would put it this way. I think the first and the biggest challenge is getting talent, getting leaders, or leadership management, or availability of leaders. I think there is a perennial shortage which keeps every CHRO busy thinking, do I have the right leaders? Is there enough pipeline? If there is a drop down or a drop dead of one of my leaders, what is the plan B? Right. The succession planning, talent management, leadership development is clearly something that keeps everybody busy. Right. The second big thing that keeps everybody busy in HR these days is change management. How do you navigate change? Because again, it's coming from VUCA and tuna. These are happening. You may give lot of motivating speeches in your town hall to tell people, look, this will happen, please go and work. Right. Fact of the matter, it doesn't happen. There are grapevine, there are vulnerabilities, there are mental health issues. How do you make sure that you minimize the effect of this continuous change? Yeah. Change in the way you manage your skill set, change in the way you manage your resource, change in the way you manage workflows, everything is susceptible to change. How do you make people agile? How do you make sure that the change management graph that typically happens when people go through is minimized on the negative quadrants? And so that is something that's very important. Third, there is a very important, interesting, I find HR should and is dwelling with. How do I make sure that the HR effectiveness measures are widely accepted in the organization?
I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, because often people still have this. So it's like I am right now saying, oh, I am a business partner. Question is, do the other person sitting on the other side think me as a business partner? Sometimes not. And it can only happen, so it's very easy to measure the effectiveness of the sales team. Last year sales tha 10 taka, इस बार हुआ 15 taka. It's very easy to identify the output of those kind of functions, product development, sales, manufacturing, marketing. HR often have not been able to very effectively establish that this intervention of mine has ensured business success, or these are my HR effectiveness measures. Well, there are a lot of measures, but how much business buys it is still a nascent science. And HR leaders do struggle to establish that matrices to the business. And I think that's one of the challenges that we are facing.
Interesting. Okay, now of course, 22 years long career, you've come across different generations. Do you see a divide between the millennial workforce and the pre-millennial workforce in the way they approach their tasks at work?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I think I get so jealous seeing them. They are so clear in their mind. I don't think I was so clear when I was in their shoes 20 years back. They come armed with so much information. They don't care. I don't think we were so fearless 20 years back. And hence the way, so intimidation you can't intimidate them.
Right.
The other part is the technology has made sure they have access to best in practice. So you can't fool them. If I tell them they have a way to go and check whether that's the best. 20 years back, I didn't knew whether what my superior was saying was that right or wrong. I just accepted that as a gospel. They won't. So they are keeping us alive. They are making sure we don't sleep. And it's such fun working with them. They make sure we remain agile.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, coming to the generation Y, right? They're often accused of being the entitled lot. What's your experience or opinion for that?
I don't think so. I don't think they are entitled. I think whatever they are, they have earned it.
Right.
And I am the last to judge them. I keep saying my daughter that you have got much more than I got, but that I can say to my daughter. But I don't think generally. I don't think. But they face challenges which we haven't faced. World has become smaller, and a small world creates much more competition, much more easy benchmarking. So the entitlement also comes to them at a cost. They are doing something which probably we don't even understand.
Absolutely. So do you think the flip side to that is that you're seeing more innovation, disruption in form of startups from this generation? Why?
It's already happening. It's already happening. I think it's already happening. Some of the ideas that you keep saying in any of the hackathons that I have attended. Right. Oh my God! So the differences. Let me tell you the differences. I come from an university which still today is apparently one of the most thinking university of India, where they are known for being thinking and often thinking in lines which people don't even think. Right. I come from that university, and I was attending in my alma mater some time back on one of the hackathons, and I was reminiscing that 20 years back when we were passing out, we were thinking about which all company will come for campus, and our whole focus and energy was on preparing for the campus and land up a good job and inform parents. I have done what you expected. These guys do not care. They have 10 ideas, and job is, if it doesn't work, I will see. Oh, job to mil jayega. Job mein kya hai? I anyway know I am from the best university. I was also from the best university, but I was not so confident. I think the brashness is a negative word. Sorry for saying that. I think the confidence. It is on a whole different level, and because sometimes we don't understand, we say, oh, they are entitled or they are something. Innovation is going to come, and they are obviously, for obvious reasons, they are going to do.
True. They are the torch bearers for.
They are torch bearers, so there is no two thought about it.
True. Okay. Now, talking on the economic front, what is your general feel on where we are today?
Oh, so all data are showing that we are going down. The manufacturing growth or the product, the GDP has twice now been revised this year. 5-6% is not something that you expect to continue. Interest rates are going down, bank interest rates. So you have less money in the market. The kind of bank scams that have happened in the recent past, not really a great indication of the corporate governance that we had been advocating, not great signals. I think that's something that needs to be addressed. And again, I go back. The solution has to be from the demand side. I think some of the things that have happened in the recent past, the solution is coming from the supply side. If you reduce corporate tax, it's great for corporations. Right. But will that money come back to my pocket? If it doesn't come back to my pocket, I don't go back and buy. I come from FMCG organization. I go to a shopkeeper and check whether my product is there. He says, अरे 10 दिन पहले आपके कंपनी वाले ने 4 बॉटल देके गया है, बिका नहीं, अब क्यों आप दोबारा आ रहे हो? Goods are not moving out. He has no interest of refilling it. Somebody has to buy, so the stimulus has to come on the demand side, not on the supply side.
True. Great. Now, do you think because the way the economy is right now, there are murmurs in the organization that, will my job be there or will it not be there? This entire meltdown that's happening.
Oh, it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. It's part of part. I think it last 10 years, we Indians, particularly in the metro cities, we have kind of gotten used to it. But people don't like this, I can say you this. Despite all the communications that we think we are doing, I think we also show vulnerability, because somewhere down we are also vulnerable. Everybody down the line from top to bottom is vulnerable. So yes, there is this vulnerability, this fear coming in. We may avoid it, but the fact of the matter is, one of the reasons, the fear factor or that confidence is also making people hold back their money and not spend, which is also, so there needs to be a positive energy booster. That people think, okay, I think my company is stable. Look at auto, because my background is from, I have spent 10 years in auto. Look at the way both commercial and passenger vehicle have dipped in last 24 months. It's alarming.
What would be your take on the employee mindset in such organizations or in such industries? How does, or what could HR do to mitigate this?
I think one thing that HR needs to do, and that's communication, communication and communication with transparency. You do not have all the answers, and trust me, people don't always need the right answer. They need what they need is somebody told them, ki look, and I take it very interestingly to what we know happens in our own families. A good family, when he is under stress, suppose the father has lost the job or mother is under terminal illness, what do the father tell to the children? Does he have an answer? He doesn't have an answer. He doesn't know when he will get the job. He doesn't know whether their mother will ever be cured or not. What he only do is he tells, look, we are in difficult situation. Look, today I did this, I am trying this. Look, I sat for 2 interviews today, it didn't work out. Look, like next 2 months it is going to be difficult. And I think all of us would understand, we as children will then understand daddy is trying. And you have faith. It's not that daddy has to solve it. He has to communicate transparently, which is something often we sorely miss. We think we will put our head inside the sand and nobody will see me. I think that is something that most organizations do not effectively do, and some do. Some absolutely do it. They stand up and say, look, and there are a lot of examples where organizations gain respect when they move out from this, being absolutely transparent with their employees.
I think this couldn't have been a better answer than what you have already. So thank you for that.